Hello, my name is Erick and I work in business development for Codilation. My team of elite nerds is dedicated to helping turn big ideas into first customers. Building apps and helping develop new businesses allows me to meet amazing people. These people are doing amazing things in our tech community and my actual community of Fargo, North Dakota. I wanted to start a platform to help business leaders and other great people in our community tell their story. Connecting with amazing people is my job. Welcome to my office. My guest this week is Patrick Kirby. At Codilation, we're launching a product called Startup Happy, so I figured I'd invite the happiest person I know who founded a startup to talk about it. Our conversations are always wildly off topic, but this week was a great excuse to wear my novelty cowboy hat. Welcome, Internet. I'm delighted to be here with my good friend and amazing guest, Patrick Kirby of Do Good Better Consulting. I just kind of third time.
This is going along our lines of a conversation we had earlier, where in Saturday Night Live you've got the 5 Timers Club. Yeah. I'm working my way towards a smoking jacket, so that if I can get here and I can just come here and then randomly Tom Hanks and
right.
and yeah, it's going to be there in the green room.
Holy cow! I am going to repeat delightful guests of the show. I might have like the happiest of happy hours and have like...
Yes, this is 100% happening.
So here's a fun thing. You may have noticed I'm wearing this cowboy hat.
I did. It's hard not to notice.
It's hard not to notice. And the reason that I'm wearing it is I think the world needs to know this story.
Yes.
Randomly this fall, I get a text on a Sunday morning.
Correct.
And it says, "Hey, what are you doing this afternoon?" And I was genuinely in my underwear eating pizza, getting my fantasy football teams ready for a pizza fantasy football day. And you ask, like, you know what? I have some family stuff coming up. And can you be the emergency backup MC to the Down Home Hoedown?
Yes. The annual fundraiser for Down Home,
yeah,
in which I was scheduled to be an MC, could not be the MC, very last minute.
And there's one person in your phone that could have maybe a couple.
It's emergency MC. There's no other name under it except for yours.
Yeah. And
so I pushed call, yes.
So I went and I bought this shirt.
It's sexy looking.
I mean, I'm not unattractive.
No, not at all. No.
But I've had this novelty cowboy hat since my bromance divorce with my best friend Jeff. When he got married and we stopped living together, like in like a very bittersweet, sad, but beautiful moment in my life, he's like, "I want you to have the novelty cowboy hat."
Was there one single tear or just a I want you to...
It was like it was a very weird day. And so, again, that was like 10 years ago. And so I got asked to be the MC at this hoedown event. And I'm like, I'm gonna bring this cowboy hat and it's gonna be amazing. And it was sat in the back seat of my car and I didn't know the audience. And that's one of the most important things you can do to not bomb public speaking is to know your audience.
Yes, very much so.
And I didn't want to walk in as the like backup to the backup who's like, who is this guy coming in with this big foam cap? Like, I'm going to turn things around and this is going to go amazing. Pew, pew, look at my hat. And so no, I didn't know the audience. And so I didn't, I left it in the back seat. But I do know the audience for this.
Yes.
And they'll all enjoy it. And so I'm wearing it. So it's
a good choice.
We've gotten off track 4 seconds.
which is way later than normally every one of our conversations. Like, yes.
The last time you were here, we're like, no script, no anything. I'm just going to surprise you. And that worked out. And this is kind of working out again.
I like it. I'm in 100% in.
So yeah. So I have one thing I wanted to talk about.
Ooh.
And then we'll just be us.
Yes.
And it'll be too much content.
Yes. The editing process, we just automatically apologize for editing.
Again, Maddie, I owe you so much.
Yep.
Waffles and chocolate and all
Chalking
of the things. And so, we're launching a new product going into next year, which is really exciting. It's called Startup Happy. And so I've been interviewing happy people I know that have a startup, and this is you.
That's me.
And so I just kind of have a question for Patrick Past. As we really want to like focus on what it does is it helps validate your problem, and it helps, get a lot of the stars aligned before you put any money in.
Yes.
And so the big question that I have for you is, what would you have done, 3 years in?
3.5,
3 point something years in, because we went to the birthday party and you gave me some pizza.
Yeah, I did.
And actually, it was the pizza at that event was the pizza that I was eating, and like, there's no such thing as free pizza.
I think that was your next
pizza for the road, and then 2 days later, I'm finishing up that cold pizza, and you called me.
Yeah, that's as soon as you're taking a bite, as I knew I should have eaten this or taken this whole box.
I should have just said, I've had enough pizza, Patrick. Thank you for this lovely party. I'm going to go home, but I didn't. So yeah, so 3.5 years ago, what would you have told yourself before starting your own business to make yourself start up happier?
Boy, I would say the first thing would be that's a really nice business plan you have. Boy, it's going to make for great kindling someday. And by someday, I mean 3 days into your business. And I think that's the funniest part about startups is you have these grandiose ideas and you have mapped out everything beautifully. And as soon as you map it out, immediately circumstances change.
Right.
So what I thought I was going to be doing day one, I was doing the direct opposite of doing it day two. And so to know, just being aware that everything was going to be dramatically different and change in an instant. I think being adaptable. So knowing how to be adaptable was going to make me a lot happier. Knowing how fun it was going to be, and yet at the same time unbelievably frustrating. Like if you had a startup product like us, like startup frustrating, like people would go, yeah, I'm ready for this. I've already had this experience. And just knowing that there is not a lot of people who you can talk to about the process, which is really mysterious, because everyone who doesn't have a startup or doesn't have their own business has an opinion about what you should do for your own startup business. And they're the last people you should listen to because they have no stake in the game whatsoever. And it's really navigating and trying to open the doors to other people who have taken a leap and a risk themselves. And having access to that group of people would have made my life a lot easier. And again, I leaned on so many people who gave me so much time and so much energy into trying to help me along the process of giving me tips and tricks. But to have a list of those people or have a platform that allows you to answer some of those questions that you didn't have to go digging for, that would be amazing.
See, and this is unscripted because it's us. And that's basically what the thing, like, we interview Patrick and say, what are your thoughts on this startup idea? Who should I talk to?
Yeah.
That's the last question, so that you can get that base of not, this is my business book ideas. And like,
I can't tell you how many times I Googled things, like spending the amount of time on Google, like, and then coming to the conclusion, because you go, you can Google, you're like, oh, well, this YouTube video is clearly something that I want to do. Well, now I'm going to watch that YouTube video again, and then you're not even looking at what you want to do for your business, and it's 2 a.m, and then it's
Star Wars theory.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
So having some access point where you didn't have to go digging for stuff is brilliant. So no, I'm in.
I absolutely love it. And so 3.5 years. Would you ever go back to your old life? Because I know it's terrifying to take that jump.
Yes.
Could you ever go back to working for someone or in a regular-ish kind of job?
I don't think so. I think I caught the bug too much, and I would have a very difficult time having people suggest, tell me what I needed to do again. I think that the advantage of being an entrepreneur, and that's the thing that I crave all the time, is if I want to do something, I can make a pivot right away and do it.
Right.
And I don't have to ask permission. It's my risk, it's my reward, but I don't have to ask permission to do it. Maybe my wife. I have to ask my wife for certain things, and that's probably their best practice. Best practice. But only that is my only CEO I need to report to is her. And I think that's what makes this so great. And I don't think I might have worked my way out of
being able
to do that again. Yeah. And I'm responsible, and I have my own clients. My clients are kind of mini bosses.
Right.
I owe them certain things. But from a decision making on what my company, what my things I wanted to do, I don't have to ask, which is great.
I just picture like the great and the bad with, like, I see like Michael Scott in the lake.
Yes.
Like I see you like, let's try this, and I'm not going to think about it. And
Yep.
then you drive into the lake, but it was your choice to drive into the lake.
Correct. Yeah, I had to make that decision to listen to. Yeah, exactly.
But it's then you'll get out.
Yeah, and I think
that's the exciting. Like, you're not drowning. You're like, oh, this is less than ideal. Up to me to get out.
Right. And I think that's the fun part about talking with entrepreneurs. I think the fun thing about talking about the Startup Happy too is connecting with people who have already taken the wrong turn, Michael Scott style, who said, you know, when it says please go left and you're going into a lake, you should probably turn left. Like I didn't.
Right.
Here's some tips and tricks. And that's the best part about this ecosystem here in Fargo and Moorhead and West Fargo, is that there are so many people who have an entrepreneurial journey that will help you out along the way.
Right.
But having some formal system of way to connect people would be brilliant. And that's I think 3.5 years ago, I wish I knew what being an entrepreneur was like.
Yeah.
So that I could answer my own questions or find people who would be good resources for that. I will give you a testimonial for whatever this is, because it sounds exactly what I would need if I had a time machine and go back in time.
A time machine. And
That's
so
what I
one
would
of the customers that we work with is CCRI.
Yes.
And I remember I got involved with them. I started at at their superhero race, because that aligns with me.
Correct.
And I was supposed to track the times. So they gave me this little thing called a time machine. I was like so excited. And then I'm like, oh, bib 407, 1919.
Yes.
Like I was very disappointed that I wasn't in shenanigans.
I feel like at some point in time you would have used at least one Back to the Future reference while you were plugging in numbers, or some sort of thing that you would pretend this is like what is most tempting here is to recreate a Star Wars where they're trying to power up the Death Star weapon. And I want to do this so badly but I'm not going to.
Don't push the button.
But that's what I want to do. And I feel like that you would do that in any situation, even if you had something that was called the time machine.
Normally I would, but honestly, I remember every one of those people was so happy crossing the line, like regardless of what the time machine said, that I was sitting there just crying to myself. I was so happy. Like,
that's funny.
I put goofing off aside for like a hot 10 seconds in my life. And that's that's very uncharacteristic of me, and that's why I still volunteer with them, and I love them, and it's great. And so yeah, I prepared zero for this, but that's,
I like it.
Like we usually have a mile. I didn't make a business chart this week. It's on the list, and so we'll just put something up, and just trust me, it'll be.
I think it'll be funny, and we'll come out of it right now where I'll go. That was such a clever thing.
I know, that's me.
And then Maddie will eventually edit that into the situation. May I ask a question of you?
Of course.
So while you're doing this progressive series of interviews, have you been planning interviews, and have you found your top individual or people that you want to interview in 2021, and do you have them on a big board list? And if you did, who would be your top 3 people you want to interview on the show in 2021?
Oh no!
And you can have anybody, because here's the best part. Like what I think you found out too is during COVID, and the internet is an amazing thing where you can reach out to anybody, and they're probably not doing anything right now, and they'll probably get back to you. And like we've been finding that with guest speakers and guest podcast appearances on our show, and from conferences and trainings. You basically call somebody you like or are admiring of, and they pick up the phone because they're just
doing?
At home in their underwear eating pizza on a Sunday. So they have nothing better to do. So I'm very curious if you had a top 3 list of people that you would love to have come on this show. Jeez. Not even Fargo Moorhead based.
I've never even thought of that. So here's how I do this.
Yeah.
I think 12 weeks at a time.
That's so far ahead.
But it's quarter. Like I break the universe up into quarters, because like if you look into last year, the worst year ever.
Yep.
I don't say worst because it's fine.
The weirdest, for sure.
The weirdest year of my lifetime. our content from January to March shifted completely from March to June. Then it shifted back from June to so like, and it's constantly evolving. And so I haven't done my homework and thought about who I even want on. And part of it is I haven't, this Zoom thought is an interesting thing because I like in person so much better, but there's some pretty good people that I should probably think about talking to.
I think you could take a photo of this back wall and then send it to them to put on the background of their Zoomcast, so it would be exactly like you would be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Maddie loves.
I'm sure behind the camera she's just shaking her. Yep, that sounds like a fantastic idea.
I'm going to murder Patrick.
Speaking of Zoom backgrounds, this year I found the greatest Zoom background that I've been using. I've been using occasionally for the last couple of weeks. And it is the background of the Four Seasons landscaping company that Rudy Giuliani did at his press conference after the election.
Try not to laugh hard into the mic to blow Maddie's ears out.
It is. Somebody sent me a photo like, I dare you to use this in your Zoom background next time, and I did. And it's so funny where you use it, like nobody knows what it is out. They just assume you're like in this back of this garage.
Yeah.
Most like everybody else who showed up for that particular press conference. But then at some point during your Zoom call, there will be somebody on that recognizes it. And the joy that I find in that one person private messaging me going, is that what I think it is? Is the greatest gift.
All of the time.
The best gift I can give them. Yes.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I thought I put my phone on? Whose phone is phoning? That's me. Great. Cool, Dustin. I'm glad that we're gonna let that one silence mode on.
Should give Dustin a shout out on the
Dustin
podcast.
Johnson.
Yeah.
I will call you back.
I hope we did.
So yes, I'm just gonna ghost him. We'll see. But I had one like final kind of serious question.
We can do that every once in a while.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you as being a positive person.
Yes.
And as a fellow positive person, holy cow, this year is it was dreary, and it was tough to be Guy Smiley.
Yes.
And like, I've got a novelty cowboy hat and things are okay. Like it was tricky. So what are you most optimistic for going into next year?
Well, first of all, I agree with you 100%. It's been hard to carry the water. I think that us as positive and happy people seem like we need to, for our own person, have to be super positive because we can't get like you and I in a rut is like the saddest thing. It's the saddest
dark,
sight.
Weird place.
Weird, right? Every once in a while, we'll have a conversation. You're like, "Hey, not sunshine and roses, and it's fine." Like, and that's weird to me, but I feel like we're obligated to do so. And I think Dennis Prager wrote a book called "Happiness is a Serious Problem," and he equates happiness to being a choice, right? So every day you wake up and you choose to be happy, and that's something I've always lived with. And he makes it to every day you put on deodorant. Why? Because you don't want to be offensive to other people when you smell, right? So why would you not want to put on a happy disposition, right? That's a great metaphor. I've been using that forever. It's great. So I'm looking forward to more people turning the corner so that I can gain happiness from other people having. Yeah, I think that is. And I don't know if that's a selfish thing to consider, but like I consider myself.
You monster. You want the rest of the world to be more positive.
I know.
How dare you?
Yeah, selfishly so that I can sort of vibe off of them a little bit more. And I really do think that that's going to happen in 2021. Coming. I think you can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
And one of in my latest greatest quarantine, you have weird reflection time.
Yes.
And Cinderella, the delightful 80s hairband, saying you don't know what you got till it's gone. And that's a profound thought from that much hair.
Yes.
But what's happened this year is we haven't lost things. We paused them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I do know what I got, but it's not gone. Mm-hmm. And that's what this year, like, I'm going to, we're closing down the office in a couple weeks.
Yep.
so that I can go see my grandma.
Yeah.
She's going to give me EJ, and she's going to give me a kiss on the cheek, and I'm going to cry on the way home because it makes me, she's giving me kisses on the cheek like 37 years, and I'm like, whatever, thanks, Grandma. And like now I'm going, oh, my grandma kissed me on the cheek. And so like I'm excited to be more positive because of the brief time that I didn't get to spend with people and do the things that I love.
Yes, I think that it's going to be great because I think then we can start celebrating with people rather than just sort of commiserating, and I think that's going to be an awesome time. That first thing out of the gate.
Oh yeah, I like positive people just. Air karate. I do air karate every day.
Really?
Yeah. And
do you do it in the garage?
No, I just do it right over there, and it makes me so happy when other people did air karate with me.
Yes.
That's good. We'll have to wrap things up with the nerd question.
Oh yes, please.
So what video game are you looking forward to? With this holiday season or going into next year?
I'll tell you what I'm playing now because I cheated and I didn't wait until Christmas to get it for my kids because I bought it for myself because that's what a grown dad does is he buys video games for himself.
You budget video games.
Yep. But for me, sometimes. So it is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and it is a hack and slash video game, and it's mindless button smashing, and it is the most cathartic, wonderful game I have played in a long time. There's still a story. You still have to do things.
But you just got to Thor your way through.
You basically just mash Y and X occasionally, and then you got to figure out some. But it's just that. And it's great. It's absolutely mindless.
I don't have that. So what I did this weekend was I watched the Vikings game on a little TV because it doesn't get the big TV because the Vikings are – because I've been a Vikings fan my whole life. You earn the big TV.
You do.
Minnesota.
Yep. 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
That's 2 games in a row. You get the big TV.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
And so I was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh.
And so as the Vikings were almost blowing it and losing, I was as a Viking in control of my own destiny. Like, smacking people with axes.
Is that a good one? I'm thinking about getting that one next.
I'm enjoying. I really like those games.
Me too.
Since the pirate one, I've just been.
Which is the best one of all of them. It is.
Yeah, that one.
And the best part about that
is... I took days off of work when that came out.
Ditto. Don't tell my former boss. The best part about that game, first of all, sailing the ships.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the best one. But then in the middle of you sailing the ship, they would just break out into pirate songs, which I thought was like the coolest little addition to that game ever. And they would just have like sailor drinking songs. Yep. Yeah. And I would just sail just like, I never heard this one yet.
I like this one. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that Vikings and pirate talk doesn't always mean that it's time to wrap up with us, but it's time to quit filming. And so thank you being a third timer. And, we'll work on my list and get you up to enough to get a smoking jacket.
That would be great.
And it'll be great. So
I think it's great.
So thank you, sir. Have a good week, everyone.